All right, welcome into Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI. Of course, coming to you from the Shackhow and Mercadante Studios. We've got a good show for you, a lot to talk about. I'm going to talk a lot today. We only have one guest, and that's on purpose. We've got the great Stacey Nelson joining us today, the greatest softball player in Florida history. Talk a little bit about the Olympics, talk about her career and all the great work she does for the people at Uganda. And of course, she's been sidetracked a little bit by the pandemic, as everybody has, who's trying to do. And that's the thing that we don't really talk about. We talk about, are they going to get the football season in? Are they going to get the basketball season in? Well, a lot of the charities that are out there trying to raise funds have had a hard time. I know that during the pandemic, not that the pandemic's over, as we all know, but we tried to raise money in kind of piecemeal fashion for Stop Children's Cancer until we could actually have a full tournament. And I know that we ended up raising in the tournament about 26 grand, and we're going to continue to give to that anyway. But that is something that everybody is having to deal with, trying to raise money during a crisis like this. Interesting, there's a little bit of news coming out, and we're going to talk a lot about media days. Not only the media day that's going to start a week from today on Monday. In fact, we're going to do our own media day here, okay? SEC media days. It's only going to be people from Florida. Robbie's going to be in. I think we're going to have Coach Spurrier come in there, the king of media days. And I don't know how many of you know this. I looked this up this morning because I was writing my column for WRUF.com. And I just wanted to check on this, and I had to do a little math. But Steve Spurrier has the record for most appearances at SEC Media Days at 23. However, he may get caught because Nick Saban will be making his 20th appearance. And I don't think he's going to be gone in 3 years or 4 years. I think he'll be around for a little while, so he may catch him on that regard. Dan Mullen, I think, is 13. This is his 13th one, and that's a pretty good number. I don't know if you count. I think Phil Fulmer's like third, but you can't count the one where he didn't show up, where he didn't come because he knew he was going to be delivered a subpoena. You cannot count that one. And instead, we did it on a speakerphone, and the most amazing thing is there were guys, literally mini cams, taking a picture of and photographers taking pictures and recording off this speakerphone that was on a desk. May have been the single dumbest thing I've ever seen at media days, and that's saying a lot. I've seen a lot of things at night during media days, but since Robbie and I can't go, or it's not that we can't go. If we wanted to go, we could. All we have to do is say, hey, can we get a credential? And they go, yeah, sure, come on. Yeah, we'll let anybody in. Anybody that has any kind of a semblance of media, yeah, come on. Do I want to drive 7 hours and then sit in a freezing cold place, ballroom, and then not right, then come back 7 hours? Nah, I'm not doing that. But we'll have our own media day here. We'll have a lot of fun with that. We got some things in mind that I think you guys are going to like. I think it's going to be funny. Some of it's going to be funny, some will be serious. But obviously, SEC Media Days starts Monday. The Big 12 starts Wednesday, which is interesting. And here's the thing I want to talk about. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit on the radio today too. I'm doing the radio show by myself today on the tailgate. Jeff is out of town again for baseball. And one of the things we're going to talk about is quarterbacks. And what quarterbacks will be at SEC Media Days. And I've got kind of a feeling, we talked about this a little bit on Friday, I'm not sure how many will be there. And when I see what the Big 12 is bringing, and again, they only have 10 teams, they're a misnamed conference, they're only bringing 3. They're bringing the TCU quarterback, Duggan, I think is his name. I don't even think he's that good. They're bringing, I'm trying to think of who else is coming. There's 2 other quarterbacks. Anyway, you know who they're not bringing? Spencer Rattler, who may win the Heisman this year. I mean, he's a guy that's got that kind of hype. and they're not bringing Brock Purdy from Iowa State. So the two quarterbacks who will probably face off in the Big 12 championship game will not be there. And only three quarterbacks. And I'm wondering if the SEC will do something similar. I think it's a combination of reasons. I think one is that a lot of these people feel like, a lot of these coaches feel like, my quarterback is going to do 1 million interviews this year. This is one event where he doesn't have to be there. And I know that for a fact that the SEC has encouraged their quarterbacks to come. It doesn't mean they have to, but just said, hey, we want the face of your program. We want, and just 2 years ago, which was the last SEC Media Days, there were 9 of them there. So, I don't think there'll be 9 of them there this year. In the first place, you have no idea in a lot of cases who is going to be the quarterback. So you can't bring him. But I wonder if, like, for example, Emory Jones isn't going. He's going to be the starter. But I think they just feel like, why do this? Why expose him to hype and all this stuff? Let him concentrate on what he needs to do, which is an argument that I don't buy, okay? But it also may be a little bit of that NIL, because of the situation with NIL, let's give some other players the exposure of media days. And I'm talking about every conference doing this. Let's give other guys, let's not just bring quarterbacks, because quarterbacks are going to get their NILs, let's face it. And you also have the situation where the quarterback play all over the country is very skeptical, right? I'm skeptical about it. We saw an unbelievable year 2 years ago and last year for quarterback play, but I don't know if we're going to see that this year. So when you think about who from the SEC will be there, all right, does Alabama bring Bryce Young? Now, it's important to note that there are only 2 players going this year. Starting, I think it's all in my story. Go read it. But listen to me first. And hear me now and listen to me later. But in 2008, I think, is when they started bringing 3 players. Maybe in 2009. Until then, they were bringing 2. In fact, there's a great question in my column. Who were the first 2 players when SEC Media Days became official and they started doing it in 1989? Who were the first 2 players that Florida brought? So you have to go look it up. It's somewhat interesting. You can guess one of them. If you can't guess one of them, you're not really a Gator fan. But so they went to 3 and to get more players exposure, and now this year they're going back to 2, and that may cut out some of the quarterbacks. But really, who do you think? Like, you can't base it on who you think should be there. It's who do you think that coach is going to bring there? And it may be that because Bryce Young hasn't really won that job. You know what I mean by won? Like, he's won the job, but they're not saying he's won the job, so he hasn't won the job. That I don't think he'll be there. You go on down the list. Bo Nix, yeah, probably will be, but at the same time, he's already got his NILs going with Milo's Tea and everything. It's not a long list of great quarterbacks. I mean, a lot of teams, whether it's Kentucky, whether it's Tennessee, South Carolina, are they going to bring Luke Doty? Who cares? You keep going down the list. I don't know who's going to be there. I mean, does Georgia bring JT Daniels? Or they go, yeah, you only started 4 games, bro. Yeah, we'll wait on you. We got some players that are going to get drafted ahead of you, and we want to go ahead and bring them. So it'll be interesting. They'll announce that list according to everything I've been told. Now, I may be wrong on this, but everything I've been told, Wednesday they will announce a list, and I know that I'm one of the few people that cares when they'll do that. It is kind of weird to be in a situation where we're not going to SEC Media Days, kind of relaxing in a way. But SEC Media Days is a lot of fun, and the other thing is it's great. It's almost like a reunion. I've always said that it's like a reunion where you haven't seen people in so long, and then, hey, There's Chris Lowe, there's Mark Schleybaugh, there's Greg McElroy, there's my friend Heath Klein, there's all these people, and we sit around, we talk about the teams that they cover, especially the guys who cover just one team and what they really think about them. And then we walk away and we go, oh, now I kind of know what's going on there. For example, with LSU, I know Max Johnson is going to be the starter. They aren't going to announce that, but that's what everybody who covers LSU will tell you, because they have some inside sources. Anyway, so the Big 12 will have they already came out with which is weird. I don't know if it's weird. The SEC waits till the end to announce who was picked. We all know Alabama and Georgia are going to be picked to win the divisions. The Big 12 does it early, and they get it out before they have media day. And, of course, they picked Oklahoma, and then Iowa State second, Texas third. I think Sarkisian's a really good coach. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's a great offensive mind. I think he was not left a bare cupboard. But I think if I was going to bet, there's something about Texas that just is messed up, as we all know. I would bet Oklahoma State will finish third in that division, or in that conference, because there's no divisions. But it's I didn't even realize this till I looked it up today. The SEC has a 4-day media days. The Pac-12 has a 1-day one. The Big 12 has 2. The ACC has 2. The Big 10 has 2. And this is where the SEC goes, it just means more. It means more parties. We have more receptions. And I'll remember this for a long time, because it was one of the great trips I ever did. In the year that Florida did not make a bowl trip, which in covering the Gators, I was not used to. Florida always went to a bowl game. You always had a little bowl trip, even if it was just a Gator Bowl, for God's sakes. And I don't mean anything disparaging about the Gator Bowl, but you weren't going very far, and you weren't spending a lot of time there. But still, it was a bowl game. And that was the year they went 4-8? 4-7. Anyway, Will Muschamp's third year. They don't go to a bowl game. And I knew that the commissioner of the SEC, Mike Slive, always did this thing where he went to all 3 bowl games in that little area on the same day. He would go to the Gator Bowl, and then to the Citrus Bowl, and then to the Outback Bowl. And I asked him, I said, hey, what do you think? Can I go with you? And it was a little tiny plane. Believe me, it was very small. And finally, after little negotiations, they took me, and it was unbelievable. I never had more fun in my life. I think I wrote a 70th story. But the thing is, I'll never forget this. As we're driving there, Herb Vincent, who is one of the great people in this world, and I love him to death, was sitting across from me, and he goes, let me ask you, Pat, he goes, this year, the last couple of years we've done, with 14 teams now, we've tried to cram them all into 3 days. What do you think about if we make it 4 days? And I told him what I thought. I said, well, there are going to be papers that go, hey, look, we don't want to spend that kind of money. So for 4 days. So if you're flying in from Gainesville or driving from Gainesville or even Athens is a lot closer, but Knoxville, whatever, to Hoover. So you got to come in the day before. If you're going to do the whole thing, come in the day before, leave the day after. Now you've turned it into 6 days. It's a lot of money. Not for airfare, but not that many people fly in. But in terms of hotels and meals and stuff like that, I said that would be the only problem. I said we would probably do it. We would probably go to all 4 days, but not everybody will. To be honest with you, at the end we started cutting out a day early because it was just too much. But the SEC wants to do things bigger than everybody else, and they continue to do things bigger. Okay, there is a little bit of breaking news if you're watching this show, and of course, if you're watching it on Facebook or YouTube, and we appreciate everybody who does watch the show. If you're listening to it maybe at a later date, you go, hey, that's not breaking news, Pat. I already heard that earlier today. If you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the different 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast, remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. The breaking news, Florida's second game of the year has been moved by an hour. It's not that big a deal. It's going to be hot it was going to be hot at noon. Now it's going to be hot at 1 o'clock, maybe hotter. But it's interesting as to why they had to move the game. They moved it because their ABC is, and rightfully so, is going to do a big piece, a big all-day thing on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And you sit there and you go, yeah, well, that football game really isn't that big of a deal. Even if it's the Gators, it's still not that big a deal. And I understand why they're doing it, but so they're moving it just back an hour to 1 o'clock. There's all the games that day are now moving. Iowa State, which was a 3:30 game, is now going to be a 4:30 game. And the game that night, which I think it's Washington, Michigan, which might be interesting, moves back to 8 o'clock. So there's that news. And then there's this, Judd Fabian finally got drafted. Now, a lot of people thought he would be the first pick in the draft when the season started. He tried to hit for power a lot and struck out a ton. I think it was 1 out of every 3 times he struck out. And that was a problem for him, and I think that's why he dropped. But, hey, 40th pick in the draft, I mean, you're high up in the second round. It's not the worst thing in the world, so I'm sure he'll be gone. And we'll talk a little bit more about the draft a little bit later. I don't know that we're going to get into the Bucs winning the game last night. I'll be honest with you. I did not watch I think I watched 2 minutes of the game. I go, look, I know I kind of want the Bucs to win, but if the Suns win, it's okay. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching a little bit of the game, and I go, you know what? The Bucs are going to win this game because they're at home, and the Suns are a home team and not as good on the road, but they're the better team. There's no doubt. And Giannis is on fire now, and they're going to have to foul him, which they did. He shot 17 free throws. And I said, either the Bucs are going to win or the Suns are going to win and it's over. Either way, I don't want to stay up for it. And I was tired and I went to bed. So that's me. I did watch. I'm so sad. I am the saddest person in the world because I watched 4 college football games from last year. Not the whole games, but parts of the games. And couldn't leave my recliner. I've got to. I don't know how my wife deals with it. I don't know how she does. Well, luckily, she and I will be going out and seeing one of my favorite people in the world in 2 weeks when we go out to Los Angeles. Of course, my daughter is my favorite person, and my other daughter will already be out there working on a movie with my oldest daughter, whose husband is a producer or a director. That'd be good. But Stacey Nelson lives out there too, and we gotta go to dinner or something or lunch. I want Karen and Kelsey and Jennifer to get to know her a little bit. She's one of the best people I know. And when we come back, we're going to talk to her. And I'll tell you right off the bat, we had to record it a little bit earlier today because she has to get to work at 8 o'clock. Works for the Inspector General's office out in Los Angeles. But I hope you guys enjoy this. She's one of my favorite Gator athletes of all time. We'll do that. And then when we come back from that interview, we've got all of our great stuff to do, including Leonardo's quick picks. I got a good one for you today. Adam's Ribco to go. We're doing the Mount Rushmore of volleyball. And Hand Law, 3 things. Going to have dinner or lunch with Chris Hand on Thursday. Looking forward to that. And, of course, this, that, and the other, which I did accidentally on Friday. I thought I'd forgotten that we weren't doing it on Friday. I did it. Now we're going to do it again today just to give you that as well. We are at the Shackhow and Mercandani Studios, which are about to change pretty soon, we hope. But for right now, we are still here, and we'll be back with more. Don't miss this interview with Stacey Nelson here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where, everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. This is Pat Dooley, and I want to tell you about my friends at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. I'm a member, and you should be too. It's the oldest Gator booster club in the world and a great place to meet new friends, network with prominent business people, and hear a great collection of speakers, including Dan Mullen, throughout the football season. Go ahead and give John Stevens a call at 352-222-8516 or sign up on the website, quarterbackclub.org.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
All right, it is a great pleasure here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast to welcome in the greatest Florida softball player of all time, at least in my opinion, and that is Stacey Nelson, who got up very early in the morning to join us from all the way out on the West Coast. Stacey, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Go Gators. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're working for the Inspectors General Office. Are you still doing that job?
Yes, I'm still a jail monitor, so I get to walk around jails and ask people questions, and they have to listen to me, which is kind of cool.
Let's talk a little bit. I was telling somebody the story the other day, and the way I remember it is that you told me that your interest in Florida started when you saw the Gatorade commercial.
Yes.
And you saw that commercial, Keith Jackson, go, I might want to go to Florida.
Yes, I like the colors too, orange and blue. I liked the idea that they were good at football because I wanted to go to a good football school. So everything came together. Yeah,
that was perfect. And obviously the career you had at Florida was unbelievable. I mean, these are our last 3 ERAs, 0.87, 0.89, 0.75, 1,116 strikeouts. How much has the game changed, Stacey, now where you're seeing games where there were a lot of homers? I mean, we saw Oklahoma set crazy records. I mean, it feels like it's changed a lot.
Yes. And I'm really interested to see whether whatever's going on with baseball about checking what's on pitchers' hands is going to affect the game of softball at all. So it's interesting. And there's so many changes, which I think is natural. There's always an ebb and flow when it comes to pitching and then hitting in softball. So I guess I'm glad to be, having played when I played because things worked out. Except for the national championship, I'm still upset about that.
I know you are. I was there for it. But that was fun to go for the first time for me, and I know for you, obviously, to the Women's College World Series. And I had never been to Oklahoma City. It was pretty cool. But what was it like for you guys to finally get over that hump to get out there?
It was so much fun, and I would love to go back and meet my former self to see what her emotions were stepping into that type of environment the first time and then the second time. And even the second year, stepping into the national championship game, I would imagine my eyes were somewhat like this, that game, because it was new. But I'm glad to be able to have gotten there for the girls that are playing now so that our team has experience being on that stage, and they're getting better and better at it. So
Yeah, it's funny. I was you were back. I think it was 2019 for the Hall of Fame. Was that right to get into to be? And we talked then, and I did a story on you then for the alumni magazine. But how often can you get back here? Because living all the way out there, how much you able to get back here, maybe to go to football games and stuff like that?
Huh. Well, I've been able to get back to a football game every year, minus 1 year when I was living in Japan. Little difficult to get from Japan to Florida for a football game. But I'm coming back this year to the Alabama games. So I try to get back as often as I can and see people and get back in the environment.
You must have a connection to get good tickets, probably. So we'll have to hook up with that. But also, the other thing that happens is you came back and you saw your name up on the wall, which is pretty impressive. And every time I look over there, I think about how cool that must be to see it at the softball stadium.
It's surreal every time I see it. And it was cool. That was when I was actually living in Uganda, and I got to fly all the way back because I figured they needed me at that event. But being there, got to bring some of my girls that we were on the team together and we're still friends. So yeah, I try to get back and get in the environment as often as possible. Luckily, my friend's only a phone call away. So
what, for you, the Olympics kind of were bookend around your career. So, and then of course they went away. And that was, I couldn't believe that happened. Softball's so popular, and we're seeing it right now, where they had the ratings just totally outdrew the baseball. And now we're finally got the Olympics back. And can you just talk about that and how you feel about the Olympics and also with 3 former Florida players on it?
Yes. I thought you were going to discuss the current Olympic team because I was mostly frustrated by the pandemic starting because I was going to go back to Japan. I actually had flights booked to go back and watch. Yeah. So I was extremely disappointed when the pandemic stole that opportunity from me. So I guess I've been twice frustrated by the Olympics because this time I can't go, not their fault. And before, yes, not being able to compete in the Olympics, but still representing the U.S. Frustrating, but also, just the cards I was dealt, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you were pitched for Team USA and did really well, obviously, with that too. But that worked out for you pretty well as well. By the way, what was your origin of the hair flip?
Oh my goodness! Funny you ask. I never even noticed that I had a hair flip. I just needed to get my hair out of the way. It's still pretty long, as you can see. It can really mess up a pitch if it gets under your arm, especially. You can kind of like yank yourself back. So it was to prevent injury.
Yeah, it worked for you. There's no question about that. All right, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing for the good people of Uganda. And of course, you've been over there many times. When's the last time you were able to get over there and help out over there?
It would be the fall of 2019. So I had to come back, had to start working again, but I was able to do one trip out there. Then the pandemic hit, so I haven't been able to get back since. And they are sadly being affected by the pandemic more right now than us in the U.S. But I will get back. Nice story that the pandemic hit. All of our plans with the organization, Copay Foundation, had to shift naturally. And who came to the rescue but Tim Tebow?
Really?
Yeah, I called him and told him we kind of needed some help. And so now they're sponsoring the organization. It has changed, in nature and what we were doing, but I don't know. My heart goes out to Tim. Thank you, Tim.
I'm sure he watches the show. How did you first get involved though with that?
It was a passion project, something I wanted to do. So it's an organization that started not just in my brain, the people that I was working with who are all Ugandans, an idea we had together and grew together, but nothing that was given to me by anyone here in the U.S. We just started our own thing.
Yeah, I remember there was a professor you worked with a lot on this too, and I actually talked to him when I was doing that story. I can't remember his name though. I'm going blank on his name.
Stephen Knoll.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, he's a great professor. but he allowed me to do an independent study with him on the use of child soldiers, like in the armies. And that's when I first got obsessed with what was going on in Uganda, because it confused me how you could have children fighting in a war. Still don't understand, but.
No, and nobody should have that happening. There's no question about it. Well, okay, so I'm getting ready to come out there in a couple of weeks. Have you got something lined up, lunch or dinner or whatever we're going to do? I would love to see you.
Oh, yeah. Rolling out the red carpet for you.
Picking me up at the airport and everything.
Yes, if we need to. I mean, we'll get the Secret Service and everyone informed who does.
Let me ask you, do you ever get out there and just whirl it around a little bit?
No, my arm is so done. In law school, I had the chance to try to get trained again and go to Australia to play. And I just wanted to play because I wanted to go to Australia. Right. But I'd been 2 years out of shape. So I tried to get back in shape. UCLA was nice enough to allow me to throw BP. They quickly realized that wasn't going to work out because I'm not so good anymore.
Well, but I mean, you were the best. In fact, Tim Walton was the guy who argued with me about you and Lauren Hager, and he finally convinced me that to put you number one when I did the 25 greatest Gator softball players of all time. And did you ever try to hit though?
In practice, I hit a home run. Oh, there was one at bat. I think I got the opportunity to bat because he was so frustrated by all the other girls on our team that day. So, yeah, I had one at bat. I hit a grounder to the pitcher.
Well, that's good. That's good enough for me. Stacey, it's so much fun talking to you, and hopefully I'll see you out there in a couple of weeks. And I know you got to get to work, and it's just great to talk to you, and great that we were able to come on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to having you here in Southern California. See ya.
Can't wait. Stacey Nelson, the greatest ever at the University of Florida. We'll be right back after we take a break on Another Dooley Noted Podcast. This is Pat Dooley, and I want to tell you about my friends at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. I'm a member, and you should be too. It's the oldest Gator booster club in the world and a great place to meet new friends, network with prominent business people, and hear a great collection of speakers, including Dan Mullen, throughout the football season. Go ahead and give John Stevens a call at 352-222-8516 or sign up on the website, quarterbackclub.org. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Okay, welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with lovely Stacey Nelson. Like I said, one of my favorites. I think she's just a fascinating person. All the work she's doing, what she's doing for a living now. Went to law school out at, she didn't go to Pepperdine, she went to Loyola Marymount. The numbers are just incredible what she did. I mean, her ERA never got above 1 in her last 3 years. Now, her first year, she was 14. I think she was 14-12, and her ERA was like 2. And that's what everybody is now. I mean, everybody's ERA is like 2, even the really good pitchers. So, really look forward. I hope I get to see her out there in a couple of weeks. She's just the greatest. And I really want to introduce my wife to her, because my wife and her are kind of very similar people in that they care about people, and that's what she is. I got to quit talking like this with my hands in front of my face. And, although maybe I should do the whole show like this so nobody can see me. Especially after you just saw Stacey Nelson, you're probably going, yes, cover your face so we don't have to look at you. All right, we got a lot of things to get into here on the, as we always do at this time of day. What do we want to start with? Let's start with the Leonardos at Millhopper Quick Picks. And I always enjoy this, you guys. We appreciate so much our good friend Kyle over at Leonardos at Millhopper. Just was in there the other day, picking up some gift certificates to give to winners. And I just sent George Luttrell, just know your package is in the mail. You've probably heard that before. It took me a while to get things together and getting myself together, but his package was really nice, what he's going to win. Now, he lives in South Carolina. He was the winner of our last segment. He lives in South Carolina, so he's got a couple of gift certificates from Gainesville, but I'm sure he knows somebody that can either use them or when he gets down here, he can use them as well. But thanks so much to Kyle, and we appreciate everything he does for us here on the show, coming to you live from the Shack Allen Mercandani studios. And it's going to be interesting 2 weeks from now, supposedly. I'm not counting any chickens yet, but we look forward to that. And we appreciate Shack Allen Mercandani. If you didn't see the show with Steve Mercandani the other day, a couple weeks ago, you can go back and watch it at any time. And they're all up there on YouTube and different places where you can watch any of them. And that was really interesting stuff. He did give me that. Remember how I made a big mess, Evan, of the gravel from the field at the stadium? I did salvage enough to make a really cool display. So I appreciate Lynn, his wife, for putting that together for me. It's really nice. It's up on my main desk, right next to my Gator helmet and my helmet from Tim Walton, which was signed by the entire team and Tim when I retired. So that's pretty. Although I cannot put enough sarcastic quotations around the word retired. All right, so let's do the Leonardos at Millhopper Quick Picks. We do this every show, except last week's show. I forgot it somehow, but I did put it up on Facebook, and I didn't forget Leonardos. I love Leonardos, but it just somehow got by me. But I did put it up on Facebook and on Twitter, so we did get a lot of response. We've got a lot of people already qualifying. We're trying to make it easier for people to respond. You had to email me, and you can still email me to give me your answer. But if you don't, if you want to just go make a comment on Facebook or on Twitter, we want to get as many people involved as we can. There's only one winner, so it's still the same prize, and we'll have a great prize for you again this week, or not this week, but probably wrap it up in a couple weeks. Maybe when I get back from Los Angeles. We'll do that. All right. It's so simple. It's an over-under. Billy Horschel at the British Open Thursday. That's all you got to know. Over or under par. And, Billy's been kind of quiet lately. He had another good run earlier in the year. Made a lot of money. The guy's got to be. He's probably lays in bed and just throws dollar bills up in the air. As much money he's got. And love Billy to death, and he's been so good to our golf tournament as well. But so over or under par for Billy Horschel on Thursday, the first round of the British Open. It does feel like that the sports guys are basically saying, Pat, we know this is your first summer where you're retired. even though you're not retired. But it's your first summer. We're trying to give you as many things as we can to watch and to be interested in until you get to football season. We're almost there. I mean, look, again, I've said this a million times, media days is not the start of football season. It's the speed bump. You know, you get over that speed bump and you go, I can go fast again. But it's not the start of football season. It's a long way away. It's too long away as far as I'm concerned. So thanks again to Leonardo's Quick Picks for, in fact, we went and talked about this, trying to get more people involved by putting it on there, and it seemed to work. All right, it is time to go to the Hand Law. Three Things. Three Things is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website, www.handlaw.law. So it's www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. We appreciate Chris Hand and all the great people over there. I'm looking forward to lunch with him on Thursday. That'll be cool. At one of our other sponsors, Ballyhoo's. See, we're always tying the sponsors in. That's what we're trying to do. And if you are interested in being a sponsor, just give me a call. It ain't hard. 352-317-3444. Give me a call. We can work something out. You know, we had a rate card. Now we don't have a rate card. Here's what we got. Let's work things out. What would be good for you? That's been my new philosophy. Anyway, Hand Law, three things. Let's start with number one. The British Open is this week. And that part is kind of weird, too, because, again, when we would go to the SEC Media Days, always on the back end, we would be driving home, and we can't watch the British Open on Thursday because we'd be driving home on Thursday or on Friday. We'd have to miss it. Won't have to miss it this year. But I'm excited about it. It's the last major of the year, and I'm excited about it. However, a little bit of the sting's been taken out. I don't know if sting is the right word, but a little bit of the energy has been taken up by all the people either WDing or testing positive for COVID or contact tracing has been a big deal. So we're still dealing with this, even though I think everybody's like, we're back to normal, it's great, you know. No, it's so far from back to normal. And this is a perfect example. I think the number is 16 people. 16 people who had qualified for the British Open won't be able to play in it. And that's a big number, especially for a major. Now, there is a little bit of, for some guys, it's like, it's a long trip. Royal St. George's is a tough course. I played it just last night on my phone. It's a tough course, believe me. But there's a little bit of that where you go, yeah, I might have contact traced some. I don't need to play. But you saw the guys that were, I don't know if you watched the Scottish Open, which was really entertaining, and all the guys that were over there already, you know, Rahm and Justin Thomas and a lot of guys getting a warm-up over there. And that to me would be the way to do it. I don't think you want to take the week off before. I don't think you want to play in the John Deere unless you're Lucas Glover who won it. But you want to go over there, play that Scottish Open, get used to the time, get used to all the conditions, and then go up to Royal St. George's and play. So hopefully it'll be fun, but when you've got 16 players either WDing or opting out, it may take a little bit away, but, you know, all the big guys are still there, you know. I mean, Bubba Watson's the big one for me because he's been playing so well. But you know what Bubba Watson would have done? Probably had the lead going into Saturday, kept the lead on Sunday, and then as he started playing Sunday, fall off. That's what he's done in every tournament, it seems like, this year. All right, number two, the baseball draft is the first time I think I've ever watched a baseball draft. That's how desperate I am for sports entertainment. I did watch the first 5 or 6 picks. It was very interesting to see, but it is done right for the first time. The baseball draft used to be the dumbest thing in creation. They would have it while guys were playing games in college. How stupid is that? Can you imagine if you line up at wide receiver and it's also somebody yells out, "Hey, the Browns just drafted you with the 2nd pick." But that would happen. It happened Jonathan India is playing third base, and they yell at where he went to the Reds, right? And I remember the year Wilkerson got drafted, and he's getting ready for a game, and they say, hey, you just got picked. Stupid. It was dumb. They finally are doing it right. I hope they keep it like this. They're having it on a site. In this case, it was at Colorado, although there was probably a little bit of people being antsy with what the cops discovered in that hotel room right by the stadium with all the guns and everything. That's a scary situation. But why not have it in Omaha, you know? So that way the kids that didn't get to play in college can go to Omaha, and the kids who love to go to Omaha can go to Omaha, and the kids who played in Omaha can go to Omaha. Because Omaha is a big deal, and Omaha is a great city. But anyway, we talked about Fabian before going in the second round. Tommy Mace just got drafted, 69th pick. Very interesting to me in that Tommy Mace last year in the 5-round draft did not get picked. This year, he was not overly impressive, although I thought he showed a real bulldog mentality that I liked. And there were times when he pitched good, but his fastball didn't seem to have a lot on it. And he goes 69th in the draft, so he goes in the second round. Good. I guess you did the right thing coming back. There's no doubt about that. And we'll see how it affects Florida. The Gators had three of their signees go in the first round. They're probably gone. I assume they're gone. They still have 12 more. So they're going to, for all the love that Vanderbilt's been getting, especially with Corbin doing the commentary and, with Kumar and Leiter both going in the first round, for top 10 picks, Florida has the #1 recruiting class, according to, I would assume it's D1 because they do the best job. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of team O'Sully, as Robbie likes to call him, brings back. Finally, on three things presented by Hand Law here at the Shakow and Mercandani Studios, Pro Football Focus came out with a list of the 50 best players in college football. And Kaiir Elam was one of them. Apparently, he's the only player Florida has this year because he's the only one getting any love, any attention at all. And Kaiir Elam's a really good player. He's got to get a little better. Last year he had kind of a slow start and then got better as the season went on. I think he's a great player. But this is a good roster, man. I'm telling you. It is a good roster, and it's going to be a good group that they put out there. Florida's going to be pretty good. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's driving me nuts, but it is. How everybody just wants to dismiss everybody that's playing on this team. I think it's lazy more than anything. Have you watched Brenton Cox? Did you watch him last year? Yeah, he was okay. He needs to get better. It was his first year playing college football with any, number of snaps, with getting a repetition. He's going to be really good this year. We'll see. Have you watched Zach Carter? Have you watched Ventrell Miller? These are guys that are pretty good players. There's 2 5-stars in the backfield, running backs. I still think Emory Jones is going to have a big year. There are a lot of guys on this team that are really good, but everybody's like, I've heard of this guy, though. Let me click him off. A lot of lazy voting and a lot of lazy stuff going on there, but that happens a lot in college football. So that was three things presented by Hand Law. Appreciate them for being a sponsor so much here at the Shakow and Mercandani Studios. It is time to go to the Adams Ribco to go. Adams Ribco to go, Mount Rushmore. I don't know if this is the last one. Well, I might do one more. I think I've run out of sports. There may be a couple of sports that I'm kind of blowing off, and maybe somebody will get mad at me. But I think this might be the last one. And it is volleyball, which is one of my favorites sports. And we may get to the Adams Rib, go back to the Gators of the Week, because we're coming up in the Olympics, and there's going to be Gators of the Week, right? So, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. All right, so the volleyball Mount Rushmore presented by Adams Ribco to go. There's no doubt Mary Wise is number one. That's the first person you immediately think of. I mean, she's only won 23 SEC championships. What's 23? 23. She hadn't won the national championship. She's been close, really close sometimes. Hadn't been able to get over that hump, but nobody is complaining about her. There's no question she is the first person you put on that Mount Rushmore. Second for me would be Ari Cruz, who was an unbelievable player. Almost carried, and she was, like Mary told me this once, sorry, I had a little Howard Stern burp there, that you have to have a Player of the Year candidate to win a national title. And she was that Player of the Year candidate, and that's why they came close. But she was still 3 times SEC Player of the Year. Unbelievable player. Aijan Gottbert, I would put on there for sure. Player of the Year twice in the SEC. Unbelievable player. And then the other 2, I had a hard time, so I'm putting them both on there. We're going to have to chisel out a little bit of area. And I'm still missing so many good players, okay? So many. But to me, Ramat Alisson, who has a great story. I did a big piece on her when I was still working at the Gainesville Sun, and was just an incredible player, all kinds of records at Florida. And then Kelly Murphy. I mean, I'm not going to leave one of those off. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. We're just got to make Mount Rushmore a little bigger for volleyball. And there's probably somebody's going to call and go, "Why, you forgot this person or this person." It's hard. It's hard, and that's part of what the charm of the University of Florida and other sports is. There are people who don't care. I get it. All they care about is football. They may care a little about basketball. They may go to a baseball game or two. But I'm the guy who loves every sport. And I try to do the best job I am with these Mount Rushmores, and I'm sure I'm screwing some of them up, but I love doing them. And I think I may be out of sports, but I'll think about it. I think I could do a women's swimming, but it just seems so obvious. And I could do a women's golf, maybe. Oh, I could do a track. Track would be hard. Well, maybe I'll do a track one. We may have another one on Friday, okay? So we'll let you know then. Okay, we've done everything except this, that, and the other, I believe. I'm looking at all my... I should maybe make these more organized. This, that, and the other, which I did Friday by mistake, another different one, but I said, hey, it's supposed to be a Monday feature. It is sponsored, of course, by Ballyhoo Grill, Darshackow Insurance, and Ironwood Golf Course. We appreciate all the efforts that they make to make this show go here at the Shackow and Mercantile Studios. We appreciate all our sponsors so much. I mean, we're one short of being done on this, okay? One short. If you're interested, give me a call. I'm willing to work with you. All right, so this, that, and the other, and I've got to be very careful how I put this, okay? All right, I watched the Euro Cup finals. Not the whole thing. I started watching it in overtime. And they don't call it overtime, they call it extra time. Evan, you probably know that. Extra time. It's not overtime, it's extra time. But it was so intense, and I was so into it. And I didn't care who won. I just didn't really care who won. I was kind of rooting for England. Because they had the home crowd, and I'm just watching it. It was really entertaining. And unfortunately for England, the other is that they missed 3 straight penalty kicks when it got down to penalty kicks at the end. It was really kind of sad because they had put 2 subs in very late in the game. Yeah, I can't believe how much I know about this soccer match because you know me, that's not me. 2 subs in at the very end just for penalty kicks. It was kind of a risky move even with a minute to go because they weren't great defenders. They were more strikers. And I used to cover soccer, believe it or not. So anyway, and then so they had, those were their 3rd and 4th, and then they had a teenage kid who I didn't know was a teenager, but you could tell he was a teenager. He was so young. He's a great athlete. He's going to be a great soccer player. Unfortunately, all 3 missed. And the sad part, and I thought about this, I go, they're all 3 black. I would say African American, but they're not African American. They're African English, or they're whatever they are, but they're black. And the other, unfortunately, is I just sold myself this is not going to be good. This is going to be racist. There's going to be racism everywhere. And sure enough, they jumped all over him on Twitter. They jumped all over him in all the different social media. They actually, Marcus, I wrote his name down, but I can't remember. Rashford, I think is his name. Really good player. And again, I don't know English soccer. I don't know American soccer, okay? They desecrated his mural that they had up about him that was all about social justice and doing things the right way. Come on, England. I would say you're better than that, but I've watched The Patriot, so I know you're not. All right? It's just sad. And that is the other, and hopefully one day we're going to live in a world where that's not the other. Anyway, appreciate everybody for watching the show today. Again, we're going to try to change things up a little bit as we finish up this summer and then get into football, because during football I got a lot to say. Probably cut back to one guest a lot so that we can get more of these kind of things. I want to spend time with our sponsors and the things they're sponsoring. But we are going to have two guests on Friday. Joey Knight, who's my friend from the Tampa Bay Times, who does a great job. He'll give us a little bit of USF update, what they're looking at, of course, with that game being the second game of the year. But later in the show, Charlie Strong is going to join us, so that'll be a lot of fun. I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And then on Monday, Robbie and Steve Spurrier and Scott Strickland and I and maybe some other special guests are going to do our own SEC Media Days on the first day of SEC Media Days. We're not going to let them have all the fun. So hopefully you'll join us and we'll all have fun. Thanks so much to Evan, who's not been feeling well and gutted it out and came in here and put together a good show. He did the best he could. I mean, he's got to work with me. How hard is that? But appreciate everybody for watching, listening. Again, give me a call if you're interested in being a sponsor, and that'll do it for today. I am Pat Dooley, and I am out of here.